Hospitals across Indonesia are close to breaking point with COVID-19 patients as the country passed 500,000 cases of the disease on Monday. Deaths also hit a grim milestone on the same day, surpassing 16,000. Patient occupancy at 27 referral hospitals in the capital of West Java province, home to almost 50 million people, was 88.8%. More than 502,000 infections have been recorded in Indonesia, and public health experts say shortfalls in testing and contact tracing suggest the real numbers are likely to be significantly higher. In Jakarta, where relatively loose social restrictions remain in place until the end of next week, locals met the milestone with glum resignation. Dwi Nurani is a trader at one market in the capital.
Our economy is crumbling and there's a decrease in people's purchasing power. We lost 90% of our sales. Also, there's an air of fear among the people. If we want to start a business, it will meet a dead end. I would say Indonesia's economy is falling at 100%.
Epidemiologists warn Indonesia's struggle with the virus is far from over. One was quoted as saying infection rates are still increasing in all provinces. Nowhere has reached its peak. The head of the COVID-19 task force has called for more action to ensure hospital occupancy does not rise further.
AstraZeneca is now the latest drug maker to reveal a vaccine that could potentially help end the global health crisis. It announced Monday the vaccine, which was developed by Britain's The University of Oxford, could be 90% effective and works in different age groups. AstraZeneca and Oxford also confirmed no one who took part in the experiment showed any serious side effects. They found the vaccine was 90% effective when taken as a half dose, followed by a full dose a month later, although that went down to 62% when given as 2 full doses at least 1 month apart. The combined analysis from both dosing regimens produced an average efficacy of 70%. The director of the Oxford Vaccine Group, Andrew Pollard, called the results intriguing. He said more work needs to be done on the finding that an initial half dose of the shot offers more protection. AstraZeneca's data is yet another breakthrough in the race to end the health crisis that's killed 1.4 million people and caused severe economic pain. In recent weeks, US drug maker Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech showed their treatment was 95% effective, while US rival Moderna also revealed data showed its own vaccine was close to 95% effective.
There was relief on the streets of London Monday morning.
I think it's marvellous,
as residents reacted to the news that Britain is on track to make COVID-19 vaccines widely available by next spring. It comes after the shot, developed by Oxford University and AstraZeneca, was found to be up to 90% effective in trials. The encouraging late-stage trial results were the third published among the 7 vaccine candidates Britain has ordered, following on from Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna. Adrian Hill is the director of the Jenner Institute at Oxford University.
If you'd said to me a year ago that in 2020 anybody would make a vaccine for a global pandemic in months rather than years, I would have thought that that was hugely challenging and difficult. 3 groups have done it already. There may be a 4th by the end of the year. It is quite remarkable. And it can only happen if extraordinary support is provided. And that support has been forthcoming from all quarters.
Britain has secured 100 million doses of the AstraZeneca shot, 40 million of the Pfizer vaccine and 5 million of Moderna's candidate. As the UK prepares to exit a national lockdown next week, some are cautiously optimistic.
Speaking for myself, if I had to wait a bit longer just to make sure that it's all very safe, that would be fine.
Sirens ring out as the first cars cross the border from New South Wales into Victoria, Australia's 2 most populous states. They're the first to make the journey since July, when the border was closed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Victoria, once the epicentre of the country's outbreak, has now gone 24 days without recording a single new case, and that's prompted the border restrictions to be eased. The Premier of New South Wales, Gladys Berejiklian, said on Monday she hoped they would never need to be reintroduced.
Well, as I said yesterday, I never ever want us to be in a position ever again where we have to shut down our borders.
There's now expected to be a surge in air traffic between Melbourne and Sydney, one of the busiest routes in the world before the pandemic. Some 4,000 people were planning to fly between the two states on Monday, and donuts have been prepared at Sydney Airport to welcome them. People in Melbourne spoke of their relief to be able to travel again.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, no, much waited for it, so it's good.
You know, I can come visit my father when I need to without having to worry about when I can get home.
Victoria also relaxed its rules on masks on Sunday, saying they were no longer required outside. And the state has allowed for larger public gatherings. Australia has recorded about 28,000 cases of COVID-19 and 907 deaths. 90% of those fatalities have been in Victoria.
U.S. President Donald Trump was seen golfing in Virginia on Sunday, his sixth round of golf since losing the November 3rd election, as he faces increased pressure from some of his fellow Republicans to concede the race to President-elect Joe Biden.
I withdrew the United States from the unfair and one-sided Paris Climate Accord.
Earlier on Sunday, he used his final G20 summit to defend his decision to withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Accord, a move that took effect a day after the presidential election. Since Biden was declared the winner, Trump has launched a barrage of lawsuits and mounted a pressure campaign to prevent states from certifying their vote totals. So far, those attempts have failed in Georgia, Michigan, and Arizona. And on Saturday, Matthew Brann, a Republican federal judge, tossed out a similar effort in Pennsylvania, writing that the case amounted to strained legal arguments without merit and speculative accusations. On Sunday, the Trump campaign gave notice in a court filing that it will appeal the loss in Pennsylvania. But Republican Senator Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania said the judge's ruling closed off any chance for a legal victory in the state and called on Trump to concede the election. And Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney also called on Trump to respect, quote, the sanctity of our electoral process if he does not succeed in court.
Transition now.
Meanwhile, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer on Sunday urged Trump to begin the transfer of power, saying the health of the American people depend on it during the pandemic. Biden is pressing ahead with his incoming administration. On Tuesday, he's expected to announce some of the first members of his cabinet, and his chief of staff said plans are in the works for a scaled-down inauguration that follows public health guidelines.
Hong Kong activist Joshua Wong was taken into custody on Monday after pleading guilty to charges of illegal assembly last year, which could land him in jail for up to 3 years if he's convicted at a later date. While Wong was taken away by the courtroom staff, he shouted, "Everyone hang in there." The assembly in question took place near the city's police headquarters in June last year. Fellow longtime activists Ivan Lam and Agnes Chow were remanded in custody at the same trial, after they too pleaded guilty for similar charges. Wong spoke out over his situation before entering the court Monday.
Perhaps the authorities wish me to stay in prison, but I'm persuaded neither prison bars, nor election bans, nor any other arbitrary power will stop us from activism.
Wading through the water with their furry bodies, duck bills and webbed feet. The platypus is one of Australia's most unique mammals. But They're at risk, with Australian scientists calling on Monday to list the platypus as a vulnerable species after a report showed that their habitat had shrunk more than a fifth in the last 30 years. Severe drought brought about by climate change, land clearing for farming and dam building are to blame, according to researchers at the University of New South Wales, who made recommendations to government scientific panels. Professor Richard Kingsford is the director of the university's Centre for Ecosystem Science.
It can't live outside water, and so with increasing drying of the Australian continent and our propensity to take more water out of the rivers means that some of those pools that were permanent are probably going to dry up more in the future as we get increased temperatures and evaporation. But as well as that, they're affected by pollution, they're affected by invasive species, they're affected by a range of other threats which are major challenges to platypus.
Research models show that platypus numbers may have more than halved over several decades, but figures are hard to pinpoint.
Platypus are a bit out of sight, out of mind. No one really sees them that often because they're nocturnal. We don't know that much about them because they're difficult to work on. And so if you like, the sort of iconic species like koala become the poster child for conservation. But, I think platypus are really, we're missing the major changes that are occurring for this species. And unless we get this right, we're really going to be in trouble.
More resources can be deployed to protect their habitats once they are on the threatened list.